everybody, and welcome to another edition of the G3 Boardroom. Today we're going to be talking about Return to Dark Tower.
The board game.
The board game.
No, it does not say that.
It does not.
I don't know if you remember the Dark Tower from back in the 80s. It was a really fun game. We're still recovering from our playthrough.
Still reeling.
Yeah, it was. If you watch, you'll see that it was going great until like the final, the final swipe with a sword to kill the final boss, and it just, yeah, we lost. But we had a great time playing it. So I want to talk about some of the mechanics that are great in this game. We're going to tell you about one thing to watch out for because you might play for 2 hours and then lose.
Spoiler alert.
Thinking of it. But yeah, it's a cooperative game. Well, although you can play different modes, right?
Yeah, it's cooperative or competitive.
Okay, and it's up to maximum of 4 players.
4 players, correct.
And it's an app-assisted game.
Correct.
And the app was pretty helpful. The app didn't give tons of flavor text, but it helped really guide things along, and it helped you find things on the map. And there was certain quests that you can go on, or you can use the app for battles, which is great. All those mechanical things that kind of get in the way.
Yeah, you're not drawing out of another deck for the enemies to figure out what's happening. It's just
and it does reduce clutter.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. And I don't think it reduced clutter in a bad way, like some people will say about some app-driven games.
This game does not have a lot of clutter. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of stuff on these in these 4 zones here, the 4 kingdoms, but really there's not that many, and everything's very clear. It's very obvious that you have the desert and the grasslands, the mountains. That's obvious. I kind of like these on these cards too. I'll hold it up there. These cards are very easy to read. Good contrast. I mean, a lot of these times these cards get so full of flavor text that it's really hard to read.
Especially for us older people who are going like this all the time. Seriously, cards. I'm like,
Yeah. I think it's at
a certain point, certain age.
I think it's Marvel Legendary. It should be like an eye test.
Imperial Assault is real bad with cards. Got some of the small cards, and it's like they tried to cram a 3-page rule book onto some of the cards. And I like Imperial Assault, but it's pretty bad for the old eyes. Yeah,
Dave, why don't you run us through? Dave was a big fan of this game, and he got this on Kickstarter, and so he's been playing a ton of this game.
The first question I actually have before you start, I have a question for you, Dave.
Sure.
Which is this: how soon after seeing it on Kickstarter did you mash the buy button?
Kickstarter.
Or what did I say?
Quick.
Well, because you were so fast, you made it quick starter.
I mean, how fast did it go from I see it to?
The story goes very simple. I guess it was late 2018 when the Kickstarter happened.
Days of yore.
Yes. And my brother-in-law sent me a text saying, "Hey, did you know this exists?" And as soon as he told me it exists, I immediately went to the boss, my wife, and said, "What are my options here? First, can I order this, and how much are you letting me spend?" So yeah, it was within a couple days after I found out that it was an option that I could even purchase this game, because I have incredibly fond, nostalgic memories of playing this game for hours and hours as a kid.
I think I got a text message from you like right after. I was like, "Are you familiar with the Dark Tower game from the 80s?" I'm like, "Yes, I am."
And I trusted that the designers would keep the spirit of the game while making it new enough that it would be exciting, and I think they did an absolutely fantastic job. I really do, but I'm going to hold my thoughts until...
There's some really fun stuff on this game. We showed some of the... we're playing. We showed some of these the artwork on the.
It's important to know.
Important to be. Yeah, I got to be clear on this. These figurines only came with a stretch goal that was unlocked through the Kickstarter. So if you do purchase the regular game, they do not come with these figurines. They come with cardboard pieces that lay flat on the board.
Yeah. not having seen those pieces, I don't know what to expect out of them. But if I'm not mistaken, Dave, you just said right now that you're going to hold your thoughts. Dave wants to put the cap on the end of all this. All right, then I'll go. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. It hits the nostalgia buttons where there's a lot of stuff that's similar. Even some of the pieces are very similar for the like the bazaar and the sanctuary and things like that. Of course, the centerpiece being the tower. The tower is all. If you think about the original Dark Tower, the game was all about the tower. The board was kind of superficial. You could play without it, and I had.
Yes.
A couple times I just poke the buttons on the thing, and and win. But the centerpiece is the tower. The tower in this is really cool. It has pieces that fall off. You got skulls flying out, mainly into my territory. And you have penalties on it as well. You remove some of these pillars, and then there's a bad thing behind it that causes costs to go up. So they kept the focus on the tower, but the game itself is still very good. The board is not as superficial as it was before because they're adding the quests on the side. They're adding the upgrades to these cards. Your guys do different things. None of that stuff existed originally, but like I said, it was all about the tower. I think that game right now, the original Dark Tower game, was like $60 or $70 in the 80s.
I think $50. I remember because we talked about this when I did the Kickstarter, and we did some correlation how much would it cost today, and lo and behold,
it's like $7,000.
No, it'd be $200. It'd be $200 today.
I have a minor quibble about this game now.
Anyway, what's your minor quibble?
It's this. It's not two-sided. It's like you had a chance there to
add a backstory,
to give me something on the back. You give me another character on the back. Mm-hmm. You can give me something about this guy. It just to me seems like a missed opportunity.
So didn't Dave have to pay extra for more characters
that we didn't play with in this particular match? He kept those aside. But again, if there's a lot of replayability here, but that's an opportunity for more replayability there.
I hear you.
Or a little bit of lore or something. I'm not a big story guy, but I'd read a one-pager about my dude. Mm-hmm. My dude looks like a bloodthirsty maniac. So your guy's a bloodthirsty maniac. I would have been okay with that. But that's really my minor quibble about this. Other than that, it's pretty good. I like it quite a bit. I guess if there is one more complaint that I have, it's the skulls. I think the skulls are awesome. They're great, but it's one of those things that if you lose one of them, since the lose condition is when you run out of skulls, if you misplace these, you're in some trouble.
Now, when they did design the game, just to give them some credit, they do provide 2 extra skulls in the game.
Oh, okay.
So just in case you do happen to lose one or what have you, there are 2 extra skulls provided in the game that you do not use.
That's just a minor thing of mine. Other than that, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very good with the cooperative elements. I said it during our playthrough, but I'll say it again. It was kind of interesting how our playthrough broke down. Dave started out as the guy grabbing the treasures. At a certain point, Dave had too many treasures, and he traded the necessary ones to me. Mm-hmm. I collected the rest of the treasures. Then Jason had the virtue, so I traded it all to Jason, and he went on to ultimately lose the game for us. But it becomes like truly cooperative. There's games where you're cooperating and you can trade, but the game makes it such a pain that you don't want to do it, or it's rarely done. I'm looking in your direction, Pandemic. It's one of those things. It's a game unto itself to figure out how to trade in Pandemic. And this one, you show up, here's all my stuff, I'll take all your stuff, and it costs you nothing to do. So they made it nice and easy. It becomes truly cooperative. I transferred you all the treasures. A couple turns later, I transferred you all the soldiers I had, or all the warriors I had. Mm-hmm. So super cooperative. I enjoyed it.
So you're going around. You mentioned the skulls. I mean, skulls are falling out of this tower, and you're putting them on these buildings. And if there's too many skulls, then you have to part of one of your moves is to cleanse those off. So you're trying to go through. You're trying to keep the skulls off the buildings. You're trying to fight the spiders and the other brigands and things like that. You're trying to gain more virtues that will give you more power. he mentioned these things. This tower, sometimes you might be asked to slide one of these off, and now this is open. And then at the end of your turn, when you drop the skull in, might, come flying out.
It'll come flying out at you.
And these things, it's cool because these things, each one of these layers here, it turns and
the tower
and it spins, and the app tells it what to do, and then you got little things that light up, these glyphs that might tell you, okay, if this glyph is lit up over here, when you're in this kingdom, things are going to be harder for you to do. I kind of like that you have certain abilities that are enhanced if you're on certain types of terrain. Like it sort of worked out for us that the bad guy was on a desert terrain. And
interesting is if you had not chosen the guy that had the desert bonus, if you're playing as that position over there, which is probably the forest bonus, it looks like.
Right.
Yes.
Then you wouldn't have had that extra bonus to go after this boss, which clearly starts in this position every time.
Right, and it was two.
Imagine.
Actually, I had two for using them. I got 2 bonuses for him being in the desert.
Right.
So this Spy Master is good for that.
And using those bonuses is why I was able to kill those 2 dragons, because I was getting bonuses for him being in the hills. So hey, keep appearing in the hills, and I'll keep beating
just
you
to
up.
clarify, just so nobody gets confused. I mean, it's advantages,
What was I saying?
bonuses.
Bonus advantages, right? Yes.
You're right.
Hey,
You're
comment.
absolutely right.
Make sure you make comments. You said that wrong.
But the order of play is very, very clear.
Very clear.
So no matter how bad we mess up our terminology, when people get the game, they'll see that obviously that we are wrong. But I just like how easy it was, and I love the tower. It's
It
cool.
looks like you could rob a bank with that tower. It's sturdy. You could beat someone with that. You shouldn't, but you could.
One of the mechanics that, when you get these virtues, and we're talking about the advantage, whenever you have to fight somebody, that brigand is equipped with or comes bearing a certain amount of cards. And if he's a relatively easy guy, he might have only 2 cards, but you have to get through those 2 cards. If the first card might be something really easy, maybe the first card is like lose 10 warriors. Well, yeah, I've got 10, no problem. But if I can't get through the card, if the card says lose 10 warriors and I got no warriors to lose, then what I can do is I can start using my advantages to sort of nerf that card that brigand has.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you can nerf each card up to 3 times.
Well, it depends. It
Right.
depends on the level of the card.
Yeah, it depends. So that's what's good about having these virtues. That's what's good about these advantages. And it's interesting that the very last boss that we were fighting, I had 7 advantages, and I had just a boatload of gear and warriors and all this stuff. And I had to choose 5 cards for the final boss. And the first 3 cards, I had to use a few advantages here and there. I was, lose guys, no problem. I could take all the hits. And so we had 2 cards left. And the second to last card, it was a pretty big hit. It put a lot of skulls out in the kingdom that I was in. And when you get too many skulls in the kingdom, you lose. And we could have used some more advantages, but we're like, well, we could take the hit. It's no big deal. And now we've got 4 advantages for the final card.
Right.
1 card, 4 advantages. Those are good odds. It just so happens, and even though Dave's played the heck out of this game, he never seen this, but the final card says, you can't use any advantages on this card.
Yeah.
So you have to take the bad stuff. The bad stuff was adding more skulls to
enough to kill
the
us.
kingdom, and that's what killed us.
A big fat L.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think, though, in hindsight, that we should have used advantages for that second to last card, because
I don't know that I'd play it differently. Knowing the other card exists now, maybe.
Because we could take that hit, you know,
right?
And going into the last one with 4 advantages, I mean, that's where you want to be positioned.
Yeah,
I tend to agree.
But yeah, it was crazy. I guess maybe now we'll think twice. Now that we know that is a possibility.
I'm not gonna think twice.
I'll say a few more things really quick. Yeah, I was a big fan of this game as a kid, and I'm a big fan of this game now. One of the biggest advantages or things I really like about this game is I can already tell, obviously from the number of times I played, is the replayability. All right, first, in the original game, each character was the same.
Yeah.
Now you have 4 different characters. They all have different abilities. All right, they all have these different virtues. There's a bunch of different treasure to choose from. And now we're just talking about how you could build your character up, from potions to gear to everything. That's just your character alone. Mm-hmm. Now the game itself, there's 9 different bosses with 9 major quests. All right, so now there's 9 different ways you can play the game. So let's say you run through all 9 quests, where every single quest can be changed because there's 4 different level 2 villains, 4 level 3 monsters. So the number of different possibilities and different combinations you can have in this game is in the hundreds. It's one of the things I'm really, really excited about. This is like the 5th time I played this game, and there's still 3 things in this game I haven't even touched yet. I haven't even looked at. I have no idea what they are. I'm excited to find out. And you mentioned something in about your turn that I really, really like. It's streamlined. I like how you said that.
Yeah.
You just follow down. It makes it really clear and simple for you.
Yep.
This is what you do. This is what you do next. All right. Which doesn't limit your options, but it definitely makes it easier and clear what you should be doing on your turn. All right. If you see quests you should be completing, go do the quest as opposed to focusing on cleansing. If there's too many enemies, go do the battling. Take them out of. All right. So there's so much going on in this game that it feels like it's confusing, but in reality, it makes it really, really clear and simple.
Yeah, when the playthrough comes out, you'll see that, we didn't struggle. Jason and I had never played this game before, and we never really struggled with, oh, you forgot to do that, or, having to keep asking what to do on our turn. Right. And, you'll see that in a lot of our playthroughs, because there's always at least one of us that is a noob at whatever game we're playing.
It's normally the same guy.
Yeah. Yes. But even I didn't have any trouble with the the turn order and things like that. So that's definitely a big plus. It's a good kind of a good starter game. I mean, it looks pretty big and advanced, but it's don't be scared by the big tower. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and one last thing really quick. You said this, I think. It really emphasizes that the map is no longer just you move around and where you land really makes no difference. Where you are on the board, what territory you're on, what terrain you're on really makes a difference, and what you can or can't do, or the bonus or the advantages you get, or the ones you don't get. It's just these little things they added to the game. I really think added a great different variety to it, so that it really makes it exciting.
It really is a sequel. It really builds on the original, takes everything and ratchets it up to a more modern game.
And I know
these guys did a much better job designing than the original guys, but it was a different era.
Yeah, and I know people will be nostalgic about, I really like pushing those buttons in the tower. Well, guess what? Now they're on the app. You can push all those buttons on the app, and it's still there for you.
Whenever you do a nostalgic kind of game, you always do run the risk of insulting the original material. And these guys didn't.
No.
Yeah,
they stay true.
It isn't the original game, but man, is it good.
The spirit's there.
Yeah.
You can really feel it.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I know a lot of people don't like games that have apps because you got to make sure the app is updated. What happens if they no longer support the app? I know we've played Descent that uses an app. I've played Mansions of Madness that uses an app. I don't see the trouble with this. I think the app adds to the game. It does not take away. So
Those probably people that got upset when the board games used to go from the rectangle boxes to the square boxes, And what? We're folding the board twice? Inconceivable.
I know it's hard to get a hold of this copy of this game, but if you can find a copy of this game, I highly, highly recommend it.
And we'll also issue a challenge to people that might be watching and might play this game. One of the mechanics, when you drop a skull in at the end, it might pop out one of these open, little doors here. And when it pops out into whatever kingdom it lands on, you have to place it into onto a building. Twice in our playthrough, a skull bounced through and found its own home on a building.
Directly onto a building.
That you had done.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, yes. So if any of you play the game and anyone has one player do it 3 times, let us know. Because, right now the record is twice by one player.
It's called the Guinness Book of World Records. Yeah.
Yes. Guinness Book of Dark Tower Records.
Very good game.
Yeah, it's a great game. A lot of fun. We definitely encourage anyone to go out and get it, or maybe find someone else to get it and
get on a waiting list.
Make them pay for it, and then go play it.
It's not cheap.
All right, well, that's it for our review of Return to Dark Tower. I want to thank everyone for watching and thank all of our subscribers, and we'll see you in the next video.